Now we are live with... Is this everybody who worked on this game?
Not quite. There's a couple more. Voice actor and writer, but yeah, pretty much everyone.
Wow. Well, please, I guess... how are we going to have you guys introduce yourselves? How about we go one at a time? Chris?
Sure. I'm Chris. I'm the artist on the project. I work in the AAA gaming space and do indie stuff for fun.
Nice. Fiend?
Yeah, hey. So I'm one of the programmers. Kind of like Chris, I'm in AAA, but like to do indie on the side, and I've been in the industry for like a year.
Okay. AC Games?
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm the one of the programmers on the game. I've just graduated. I haven't done too much games, but plan on going more into the indie space soon. Cool.
Sorry, I'm not sure exactly how to say your last name, but Arthur?
Yeah. So I'm Arthur. I work in feature animation, actually. I'm just like trying to get into games, so this was kind of my first big experience with a team. And yeah.
Cool. And Octavio?
Hi there. So I'm a freelancer composer and sound designer, and I have been working for almost 4 years in the game industry.
Wow, that's it's really cool to have all you guys on simultaneously. I'm just having gameplay footage going because it's going to do a better job representing your game than I possibly could, especially while trying to maintain a conversation with so many people. So folks in the chat might see this 5-minute gameplay stream playing a couple times throughout our conversation today. But yeah, so thanks for the introductions. Do you guys want to talk through how it was that you arrived at the idea for Ziggy and the not-so-good adventure through the cosmos?
Yeah, who wants to take that?
I don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so we started off with so also we all like joined the Discord call to start all of our jamming process off. And we started off with just everyone would like, so we hear the theme from Mark. We all went off separately to try to like think up a list of ideas, just the concept of what we thought could work well. After like just 10 minutes of that, we then we brought it all together and we went through like each of the ideas individually, and like we started just like seeing which ones we thought would work, seeing which ones and like we also like found there was some like common threads going through them. We had some common ideas of like what if we had like too many systems that we control? So that was one of the big things that came out. What if we put the players in this like disastrous situation? So we had like a few ideas. Maybe it's a submarine that's cracked that's needs to recover to the surface. But obviously we went for a spaceship instead. So a spaceship, careering through this asteroid field. Yeah,
we had a train as well that we were thinking maybe the players could be in. Yeah, a couple different scenarios.
Yeah, a couple different scenarios, and so we just like we did have like a few other. So we had like quite loads of other really good ideas as well, which other people I think made some pretty good games with as well. So it's quite interesting because obviously whatever game you don't make, someone else probably does. We came up with this idea of the spaceship, and one of the big things I think was the like first thing we came up with was having these like batteries, and the idea that you had this battery that you can't power all the different systems on your ship or whatever the thing is with this battery. So you have to manage which systems you want to plug this battery into, or these multiple batteries. You have like a set of 5, but there's 7 systems on the ship. So you have to work out, try to prioritize between them. And this battery like slowly evolved into this Ziggy, this cute little alien that you got. So instead of having this battery, we had this little cute alien. And that was how we, so that's what powers our ship.
I think we're getting a feedback from someone's feed. I'm not sure. It's really hard to isolate that with this many people on the call. It's
mute.
Yeah, I guess if you're not speaking, then you can try to keep yourself muted. With this many people all working together, can somebody describe what the development process was like?
Sure, I can do that, I guess. Yeah, I mean, obviously, with a lot of people, we need to collaborate a lot and exchange ideas as quickly as possible, especially in a jam. So, like, the one thing that I think helped best was we were just on a Discord call the entire time. You know, I like, aside from the washroom breaks or a quick bite to eat, we were just on the call and just sharing our screens constantly, checking in every change we made, so everyone can take a look at it right away, iterate on it, especially for me making art and, you know, like designing the little spaceship, make sure the programmers have all those assets that they can work with to make them into blueprints and get everything hooked up. So a lot of iteration, a lot of back and forth. But yeah, that's kind of the general process. Just keeping in constant communication, I think, was the strongest thing for us. And then, like, every milestone, every once in a while, we would all do a commit, maybe like every 3 or 4 hours, or, you know, like a big feature went in. It's like, everybody submit your stuff, grab the latest, make sure we're all on the same build, and then test it out and see how it feels. And then do a quick little discussion, see what's working, and then prioritize what we need to build next, and then kind of go from there. So it was the general vibe. I hope everyone didn't get sick of each other's voices by the end. It was a long time chatting to people. My voice was totally destroyed by the end, especially with the lockdown, not chatting to people outside of the house.
Yeah, it's a lot of strain on your voice all at once. So can somebody tell me if there was a particularly clever hack or shortcut that you needed to implement just to, like, get the game working that you would certainly never do in a production environment?
Programmers have anything? Because I got a lot of hacks for art.
Yeah, I don't think we actually.
We didn't really. I don't think we cut many corners in the programming department. It was just all how we would do it. I think it helped that there was 2 of us and one artist, because we can just support him on everything he needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, some of it doesn't, like, look the cleanest, but that isn't like a hack. That's just I think that's mainly me. I just can't draw. I can't draw blueprints, like the lines nicely. But that isn't really a hack. That's just this is a little detail.
Yeah. For art, like, a lot of the assets are obviously very simple in terms of their materials. I had, like, a single mass material for pretty much everything. Just reusing as much as I could. Like, you see in the ship, there's like 1 billion cardboard boxes that are just everywhere because I needed to fill up the environment. So I didn't have time to build a bunch of props. I built a couple key ones, like the little fuzzy dice on the window. You know, just little personal touches, but, you know, just filling up with just the same mesh scaled and moved around. None of the assets had UVs on them. So, you know, just removing some of that technical stuff you have to get out of the way in traditional art. A couple things do, but, like, those are just a couple, like, I need to do it. And also using decals for pretty much, like, everything that has text. It's not, like, UV'd and textured properly. It's just a decal just projected on there. I mean, that is pretty efficient, but it works pretty good. But yeah. So those are the main hacks, and then smoothing everything. You know, just, I don't care about optimization, low polys. Just throw in the geometry and hope it runs.
Yeah,
I think the gun was probably the funnest hack.
That what? Sorry,
which I got the gun side.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll see. There's a little tiny gun that's in the little red box by the Ziggies. And we were having issues where it wouldn't fit. Like, it was fitting in the box, but it would keep on clipping outside of the box because it was just a little bit too big. So we just scaled it super, super tiny. And you have this tiny little repair tool. It's kind of funny. It's not quite what we intended, but it works as a, you know, we need to get it in. Otherwise, this whole system doesn't work without the repair tool. So and honestly, at the end, after we did the last build up to Itch, I realized I could have just put the gun on the table without it in the box, and it would have been just fine.
Oh well.
So, yeah.
You know, I guess it becomes a funny story. You've got your repair tool for ants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. And, like if you drop it and the lights go out, you're never going to.
It's gone.
It.
It's forever.
Yeah.
That's
So
doesn't exist anymore.
It does add a little bit to the comedy, kind of like Men in Black with that little grasshopper gun. You know,
Exactly.
tiny little
Yeah.
thing that's pretty powerful. Yeah.
I can imagine if you had a emissive light source on the gun itself, then you'd be able to pick it up even if the lights go out.
Yeah, I was experimenting with things like that. The Ziggies originally glow a little bit, but part of the light system, like you want to keep it on, obviously, in order to see what you're doing. It's something that we needed to make feel very
Meaningful.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you could see everything and it's just dark, it's just inconvenient, not like a necessity for visuals, right? That's one of the things in the 3D space we need to utilize it in all these features. Like, why make a 3D game if you're not going to use that, right? So by having the lights go basically pitch black, and the only thing you could see is the sunlight hitting the back wall, which does illuminate the lighting panel. So it's like, oh, I have to light everything on again. Hopefully that was enough of a hint, basically, to activate that system. But yeah, like just like even that screen for navigation, like when the power goes out, it's gone too. Yeah, we really wanted to make the players feel lost in space, basically.
Cool. Well, I mean, this has got to be one of the most visually polished all-around games that came out of the Jam, but did you feel like there was anything you needed to cut or change in order to finish the game on time?
Yeah, there was we like constantly were like throwing out new ideas of how we could like take this and what, like, because obviously this is a game of different systems, so there's loads of different systems that you can imagine. So we would like throw ideas, and then we'd like try to work, okay, we don't need to do this idea now, we can like do it if we need to, if we have time, but you know, it isn't necessary for the core like systems of the game. So like it's because there wasn't like, so we were going to have like a force field as well as another like little generator in the corner. And that was like, that might have been the biggest like cut, because that was like the one thing that we were planning on the most. But even then, like it was a thing that we were planning on possibly cutting if we didn't have time.
Yeah, like if you look in the corner by the Ziggy box, there's like a generator that I flipped around so you could just see the back of it. It's just in the corner there. And it's just like that was where the force field thing was, and that would have, you know, prevented the ship from getting hit by asteroids and playing into the navigation system and all of that. So we kind of had to cut that at the end. We just ran out of time. We also wanted to do like stabilizers for the ship. So if you get hit by an asteroid, the Ziggies would fly everywhere and things would get tossed around, making it, you know, messy. So you'd want to keep that system up to date. You know, you could keep on adding more systems to this and just make it more and more complicated. But we eventually had to just, you know, lock on what we got, like 5 systems or so, 5 or 6. And just say that was it. That's all we could do in the time. But we can definitely expand it later.
Yeah, well, just from what you're describing, I think rather than just keeping like adding more and more and more and more, what I could imagine is a scenario mode for this game where at any given time, the player has to worry about, say, 5 modules out of a possible 8 or 10, and then just the different combinations that you get out of that leading to unique gameplay scenarios.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the more interplay,
you know, I'm suggesting this. I feel like it might be an idea you guys already had.
Yeah. Basically, every system that's added in, we obviously wanted to hook up with every other system and have that interplay. So the more options we can have and more variety. Like if we were to make a full game out of this, you know, we'd have like different little missions, and you'd maybe take different ships, and they'd have different loadouts of all these systems. We're not sure. We're gonna have a chat about it pretty soon, actually. But yeah, it's a good idea.
Cool.
Wait, what were we just talking about?
I just had the suggestion of like having, if you of the total of say 8 systems, having the player needing to contend with keeping 5 of them online at any given scenario, and then potentially, you know, creating different levels or just randomizations on the same level for repeat plays. But yeah, I actually want to throw it out to the chat now. If there are any questions, people can submit them now. And in the meantime, while we wait on that, I know you said you were still yet to have a conversation about this, but are there any plans that you had for the game going forward?
I think one big thing that everyone keeps suggesting and that we're really keen to try is a VR mode, because I think it would be really fun.
Yes. I think that was that's definitely something that I threw on the comment page. Was I'd love to see how this plays in VR, because especially the size of the spaceship. I feel like it's one of those things that room scale VR is made for.
Yeah, it's maybe a tad big, but we can adjust when we start playtesting that.
Yeah. When we were developing the game, VR was definitely something that we were thinking about. It was one of the things that we were like, we probably won't have time to do this, but if we could, it'd be really cool. We were inspired by what's the old game? I Expect You to Die. That was some of the some of the levels in that I was inspired by for some of the systems, as well as we both recently randomly played there's one part in the Rick and Morty VR game. We have all these different buttons you have to keep on pressing. So yeah, it was it was a clear inspiration in the beginning that this would work well in VR.
Yeah, well, I think ultimately it's the right call to not have this be a VR experience, if only so that more people can actually play it. Because of the people rating these jam games, I imagine it's got to be a very small subset of people who actually have a VR rig. So, yeah, I'd love to see it in VR potentially, but with the option of playing in a non-VR setup so that more people can reach more people.
Yeah, if we were to do this, we would definitely make sure that the pancake version works and it's very fun on its own, and then the VR would be a separate mode that people could choose if they had the thing. Because there is definitely a lack of entertaining and challenging VR games. A lot of them are just kind of demos, aside from Half-Life Alyx, right? So I think there'd be a market that would be interested in something like this. It's more involved than, say, the Rick and Morty game or Trover Saves the Universe. So yeah, I think we would definitely want to support both going forward. One thing to keep in mind for the art is I personally have never made a VR game before, and Unreal does have support for it, but we're gonna have to optimize a lot to make that run, I think.
Yeah. I feel like it's a experiment worth executing on, but I don't know. The VR remains this interesting space, this cat and mouse game of, are there developers making content for it? Are there enough audience members purchasing headsets to play it? Is it worth the development in? But I would say at this point, you've got a game that is already 90% of the way there as far as the design side of things, at least, even if you have to optimize the heck out of it, which I know is not a trivial task, but yeah, I'm sure that the more feedback you get, the more you'd get people coming forward saying, would love to try this in VR. But of course, you always have the luxury of releasing it as is, with a few, polished tweaks post jam period. But then once it's released and people can try it and people can play it, you can gauge whether or not it's worth translating it into a VR experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't end up getting any questions in the chat, but are there any other anecdotes or things that you want to share about the development of the game?
We pushed ourselves pretty hard. We were a bit burned out for a couple of days. Me, Alex, and Jamie stayed up from noon Saturday until ship on Sunday. Jamie fell asleep a bit early, so that was a rough day. I don't recommend doing that for anyone else participating in jams. The older you get as well, the harder it becomes the next day.
We didn't start playtesting until 8-10 hours before release, which was
great. I think that would be one of the big takeaways. Is we needed to start playtesting on the first day. It would have been good. We all had this good vision of what we wanted, which was nice, right? Had that vision not been compatible, we wouldn't have known until day 2, which could have potentially derailed the entire thing. Luckily, the core design, I think we all had a pretty good idea of what is fun and what works. So it was pretty seamless, but it was definitely a risk. One of the things you might notice if you try the game right away, the oxygen is pretty much gone, and that doesn't help for a player coming in. It's one of the most common criticisms right now is there's not enough time to figure stuff out, which is a change we made within the last couple hours after not sleeping. So it's a bit earlier to implement the features and actually have a bit of balancing, before, and a few rounds of playtest would have been good. But of course, it's a jam. There's only so much time. So
Exactly. Well, guys, you've done a fantastic job. I think it's far and away one of the best looking games of the Jam, especially when you factor in the fact that the assets for it were made during the Jam. I know there's some other fancy looking games out there that pull from the asset store. And as I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's all the more impressive that you managed to pull this off within the allotted time period. So that always gets a thumbs up from me.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's hard, but fun.
No kidding. Yeah. Here I am working on a little 2D pixel art game on my own. I can only imagine the coordination necessary to go into something like this. So well done all around. And as we get to wrapping up here, if you guys, I'll put it back to the credits on the page here because there are so many. They just fit on my screen. But please, if there's any social media accounts you want to drop in the chat, if there's anyone you want to give a shout out to, now is the time to do it.
I guess I just say to follow us to hear what happens next to Ziggy and his adventures. Whether it will be like we don't know exactly whether it'll be we don't know exactly what will be happening yet, but still follow along to see the adventures. You can follow on Itch, or you can follow on any of our links that we posted, hopefully.
All right. Anyone else?
If I had a cat, I'd thank my cat, but I don't. So thanks to the team for sticking through and actually doing a really good job.
Yeah.
Without you guys, this wouldn't have happened. You can't make a game with just art. So
no kidding.
It's good.
All right. Well, I have thrown the link in the chat so everyone can try it out. Thank you guys, all of you guys, for coming on the stream today. This is definitely, a little crazy with the number of people all joined on at once, but I think it worked out. Worked out great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
All right. All the best. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.